What's good, YouTube? Long time no see. But what you do see is 3 different action cameras right in front of you here. And if you guys have been in the FPV for any length of time now, you've probably used action cameras whether to record your freestyles or to record your cinematic fly-throughs or different flights that you're doing. And you guys have probably heard or run across the term of naked cameras. So what is a naked action camera? Well, this is a full-size action camera right here, and as you can see, this is the DJI Action 4. A naked action camera is a camera where you completely gut the housing, so you decase this and take out the battery tray, take out the components and everything like that, and then you convert it into something smaller like this. So this has no battery tray in it. You can see there's pads here for a cable to then run to the battery lead that's on the drone, but you get a lot lighter of a camera to fly on the drone, and you get to keep the same image quality. So this is a naked GoPro 11, and this thing has served me well. I've used it for different shoots and things like that. The 8:7 aspect ratio and everything like that is super nice to be able to use, but I'm not a fan of the flat color profile that comes with this thing. I'm not a fan of color grading and just the image quality that comes out of this GoPro. Now, I'm sure the GoPro 12 and the GoPro 13 might look a little bit better. The tests and things that I've seen online, again, I was not really sold on those cameras. So although this thing is still a great usable camera, and if I ever needed it in a pinch, I could always still use it, I'm always looking for something better. And I love the way that the Action 4 and the Action 5 look from the FPV footage and things that I've done, and just from using it from an action camera standpoint in general. So because of that, I wanted to make this video on what you see right here. This is a naked DJI Action 4 on a Cinelog 20. And I wanted to show you guys a tutorial start to finish on how to decase this thing, take apart all the components, hook it up, and then get it into this case right here from frame.ch. Get it up and running and onto your drone, so that way you guys can have a naked Action 4, and that way in case you guys have broken any of your Action 4s, you got any spares laying around, you can pick up this kit and follow along, make your own, and then go through there. So let's cut over to the bench and let's get it started. All right, so as you guys can see, I already opened up the kit and everything like that. The packaging that they sent it in looked like a drug bag, so there wasn't much of a aesthetic, open to really do here. But as you can see, we have the different components here, and I actually send you the filters from Flywoo to go to it, because the same Flywoo filters fit into this case, which is nice because I already have a set of these for the naked GoPros that I've done before. As you can see, this is the case. So it is a plastic case, feels like 3D printed plastic, so I mean, it's nothing like to write home about, but it works. Clearly it cuts down on the thickness quite a bit. They give you a few different mounting solutions. I wish there was more above the actual camera so you could center the camera and your flying camera at the same time. That's the nice thing I like about this. So this is perfectly in line, as you guys see. So what I'm seeing is dead center with what the camera sees. Wrapped up into here is the PCB and the back board and everything. I don't want to really take that out the plastic because I know I'm not going to get that far tonight. This is the ring that goes around the camera itself and the mount. We got the fan here, which I'll be soldering to. We got a bunch of screws. This is a little block that they give you to be able to push on the screen from behind, and it pushes the screen out whenever we get to that point in the process. For right now, we can take all of this stuff here and we can kind of put this off to the side. First thing you're going to want to do before you do anything, connect this to your phone, download the DJI Mimo app. Once you're in the app, download the latest firmware, make sure this is up to date, make sure you can connect it and view it via live view through your phone, and all that works. So once you do that and your camera's all set up and good to go, should be good with this. Next case in order is to take off these battery doors. So you take off the doors for the thing, so you just want to open it. And as you can see, it's on this little hinge down here, and so you kind of just pull it off, and that's it. And same thing with this for the USB-C door. You just open it, pull it right off. set those over to the side. So for the next thing to do now is getting the screen off. So there's a few ways to do this from what I've seen. Some people take a knife and a heat gun. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all, I ain't doing all that. I've done that before in the past and I hated it. Now, me being a son, I went home and stole my dad's tools. So you can see here I have a Craftsman Dremel and I have this bit on the end. It's this, it's actually not even made to cut stuff, but it does really well at doing that. It's kind of like, it's like a dull edged type of blade on here on this Dremel. And basically I just go like that and then just kind of lightly rub it along the screen, and that's what I've done for past GoPros and stuff like that. And this has really like sped up the process of being able to get through this. Once you guys start cutting into this, you know, all warranties and everything like that are void. If you mess up the camera, you're kind of out of luck. It's best to do this kind of on a very slow setting and to kind of just make yourself a groove first instead of trying to get all the way down and through. Ooh. Almost got my finger there. Alright, so you'll be able to feel once it starts to give. Yep. Be careful, you don't want to break these ribbon cables. Yep. There we go. So as you can see, our back screen is now pried apart. Next, I'm going to, we have to take the battery tray out. So in order to do that, there's some screws. There's a screw here, right above my finger. And there's two screws down where these holes are down in here, where you have to kind of pry up and lift up this plastic in here. As you can see, there's a barcode in there with some like writing and stuff like that. You have to lift that up and then use a screwdriver to get to that. There are 3 screws. One of them goes into right here, kind of pointed out before, and then 2 up here, these ones and these holes up here, and that's what excuse me, that's what holds the battery tray compartment together. So we pulled that out, and then the back screen was still stuck on at that point via the ribbon cable here. And the ribbon cable was plugged in down here by the bottom by these, it's kind of like really hard to see, these little like connections right through here. And there was some glue actually on there holding it down, so I kind of had to pry it up like a little bit forcefully. So now the next part would be to start getting out the USB-C port, getting that out of there, trying to get the camera out and get the board out. So that's what we're gonna do next. All right, so the next case in order are these 4 screws here. So we got one right here, one right here, another one right there, and then the last one down here. So we'll take those 4 out. Nice. One thing that's nice to have, I got one of these magnetizers for screws, so, and then you'll be able to pick up screws a lot easier, like that. All right, so to get the USB-C port out, you're gonna kind of want to push on it with your finger to kind of push it through, and then go ahead and take something to just slightly lift it up there. And you'll see you'll be able to kind of, you're gonna have to kind of work it back and forth like that. So push it in a little bit, and then again, be careful not to damage it. And just lift up right on the board itself. Be careful. I'm using these metal tweezers because they have the finest tip, and it's nice to work on electronics with this, but you can very easily damage stuff with this. So like, again, you guys are be very careful with tweezer tools and stuff. Realistically, you should be using something like this, like maybe, you know, a little bit more plasticky. And in fact, that actually might be a good, yep. Plastic actually worked. There you go. And see, there goes my point. Plastic worked nice and fine. Lifted it up, and there goes our USB-C port. So we can take that along with our little screws right there. We're just gonna set those off to the side. All right, so next thing you guys are gonna wanna do is there is a little flap right here on this thing. You're gonna wanna peel this back, and then it's going to reveal a spring that's right there, right down in there. And you're gonna wanna take that spring out. Be careful not to lose that. So you can just get it up, get the pressure to get away. There we go. So if you peel this little plastic piece up like that, there is a screw that is down in here, down into this little cubby hole down in here. It is kind of hard to see. In fact, I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to see it on camera, but it's down in there. And you're going to want to reach down in there with your Phillips head, take that out. Okay, so now you guys should be able to hold this back, and you should be able to lift this gray piece up out of here. Kind of have to lift it like straight up and back. There we go. Yep, just like that. Boom. So I'm guessing this is a heat sink for the actual camera itself. All right, so your next two screws that you're gonna want to remove will be right there and right there. Not that one, but this one right here. Okay. All right, guys, so once you take those two screws out, this piece should just pop out like that if you just kind of bang it off the back. And then you're gonna have 4 screws. 1, 2, there's one up there in the corner, 3, and 1 right there. Those silver screws that are holding in the camera. You're gonna wanna unscrew those 4 screws next. So, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think first you're gonna wanna undo this ribbon cable that's on the back of the camera. Like that. Just kind of just peel it back with your finger there. And then from there, and there goes. Make sure not to lose any of the screws. But there is our camera for the DJI Action 4. The next thing that we want to do is take out these 2 screws that are holding in the board here. So we got 1 here and 1 down here. This one down here, you're going to feel your screwdriver getting pulled by the magnets at the bottom here that snap into the holder. So boom, there goes the other screw. Now there's going to be a couple ribbon cables that are holding the motherboard screwed in, or holding the motherboard in. There's going to be 1 here, and then there is also going to be 1 down here, down at the bottom. So we're going to want to undo that and undo those. So again, it's best if you can get a little plastic pry tool to be able to get up and underneath there. So, and the name of the game is patience with this type of stuff. So anyway, so now we have those 2 things pried up and out of there. So there's like some glue and like thermal paste and stuff behind the motherboard on here. So a good way, there was a ribbon cable that was connected to the camera. You can see like right there, there was a ribbon cable, which was this. And I just accidentally knocked it out by accident. But then once you do that, you can actually get something behind here and kind of start to pry up there. And as soon as I did that, yep, you can kind of pry up, and then you're able to grab this charging like port here too. And then you can also lift up from the SD card port. Don't try to pry it originally from this point though, because if you damage the SD card, it would be a shame if this worked and it don't save nothing. It's a little difficult because all these ribbons are in here and the stuff is packed so tightly together. Yep, there we go. You can kind of just pop it down. I really hope I didn't damage one of those dials. Pop it down, but as you can see, there goes our motherboard. Now we have to get this black piece out of here so that we can get to the front screen. So gonna have to cut the shell again. So we're gonna cut here with the Dremel, cut here just to get this out of here. Cut this little plastic lip right here, not the external one, but the internal one right here where the SD card writing stuff is. Cut that and then get the tweezers down in there and kind of pry this black plastic piece up. That seems to be the way to be able to get this off of here anyway. So if you just kind of push on this hole here, on the plastic part on the hole, you can feel it start to give. You kind of have to just kind of like get some tweezers, pry down in between here, and also push the plastic piece through this hole, and it starts to, you can see it's coming up and coming loose here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so finally got this off. All right, so I forgot to mention a couple of things. So try your best. I'll make a point of this afterwards. Try your best not to damage this because you actually do need this. And I thought you didn't need this, and I like almost damaged some of the threads here. So the thread adapter here is gonna get screwed onto here. You are gonna need this. Last case in order is going to be getting this screen off of here. So the way to do that is to heat it up from the back side and then to honestly just push through here with this little plastic tool that they provide. It's just a cube, just place it down right on there. You can do it that way. Place down the cube like that, and then you just press down into it. I don't have a hair dryer or hair blower or whatever. There's nothing that I can use to heat this up. So for the moment, I am actually going to go and get a lighter and use the lighter to do it. So, all right, so the goal is to be real careful doing this. I'm going to kind of hold this pretty far away. All right, so what I'm doing in this case, because again, I don't have a blow dryer and like the flame thing, I don't trust but so much because it's direct fire. So I'm using the tweezer to kind of like, this rubber here is kind of soft and you can actually peel it back from the screen a little bit. So I'm doing that just to kind of loosen the area all the way up around. So I'm gonna just work this all the way around and be able to get the screen out. All right, so I was trying to like, you can obviously see I have a giant Band-Aid on my finger because I stabbed myself with these tweezers like pretty deep. But I was trying to like kind of get in there and just get like these grooves and stuff going, and that kind of helped. But honestly, the biggest thing that really helped is I went and put on an oven mitt and got some pliers and then just held this thing over the stove for like 15 seconds, just kind of wanding it like that. It got it nice and warm, and I was able to actually see like, you know, the screen and everything like that start to get warm. And then I just pressed on it with this cube. Again, having this cube in the kit is huge, or if you guys can get something that's like a little bit more flat to even out the pressure so that way you don't press straight through the screen and end up cracking it. I don't believe there's any cracks here. Yeah, no, we're good. So I'm just doing this real slow here because there we go. And there we go. So now our screen is off. As you can see, very nice and clean, other than my fingerprints. That is everything. So we should be able to now take the case, get that out of there. So now this is the fun part of the construction. So now we're gonna put everything together. Oh, okay, that is something else you have to do. Forgot, so one more step before we start fully putting this together. Okay, yeah, so these two notches here, we're gonna wanna end up dremeling down because you can see how far they stick outside of the case. So even if I were to try to put this on, the case itself will not close. So we need to Dremel these down. So I'm gonna do that real quick. But again, we'll slide that back in there. And as you can see now, we got a nice fit, nice solid fit where our case is going to close nicely. So there we go. We got our front screen installed here. We need to go through here. All right, so that was the absolute most, but I was able to get that like nut in there. There's a nut around a screw that they give you in the pack that you're supposed to screw into here. Yes, so the main board screws are the two screws, 1 and 2, that we're gonna want to put back there. Yep, if I'm correct. And those screws were these. So now we have our main board back in. Everything's holding in pretty well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some glue down for this screen, but beyond that, we're looking okay here. So the next thing is going to be getting the lens in there. So the nice thing is this will adapt the flywheel filter. So these are the ones that don't really screw on. These just kind of just suction cup over, which I've never had any issue or anything with. So we'll just put that on over top. And we'll take our lens here. We want to make sure the lens orientation wise is going the correct way. And also it would be smart to reattach the ribbon cable for the lens. So if you guys knock that off from before, it would be very smart to put that back on for the current moment. So let's see. Side was the bigger side, this side. So the longer side is the side that up top up here. So there we go. Okay, so we're just gonna slide that down into there. I want to get this other ribbon cable connected here. And be careful with your lens. It's an easy, so that's cool. So now all we got to do is get our screws. So as you guys can see now, our camera is in there, locked in, ribbon cable's good on both ends. So yeah, now you can see our lens is installed, screen is installed. Just got to get some glue to glue it down. Oh yeah, there's this little forgot. You want to put the little plate cover back over top of the PCB cable, or the ribbon cable for the camera. Yep, so now we got our little plate back in there. And this is the back cable that they give you, or the ribbon cable. I keep calling, stuff is all over the place right now. Mine is all over the place. All right, so this is the back control board that they give you here. You have to break this? Like, what the? All right, so I like, this was ridiculous. It came in one whole sheet, and all I did was just take this at the edge of the table and just kind of bend it, and that's what you're supposed to do. But this is the back control board. So let's get the ribbon cable here part installed here. So this is the orientation that is going to go into right here, like that. And if you see, naturally this kind of lines up. So you see the missing open holes here. One of them is going to stay missing here for something else, but You see that one lines up there, that one lines up there, and then there's one up top up here that lines up. You just want to make sure you're lined up here as best as you can. Press down, it should be a nice easy snap. And sometimes it could be hard, especially if you have sausage fingers like me. All right, so there we go. We are going to get the fan installed next. Stick the fan on the outside there. Make sure our cables are going through the little route hole. And then from there, there we go. So now our fan is installed into the case. There's a row of pads right here. It's like 6 pads. Basically, you just solder the fan to any 2 of those pads there, plus and the minus, and we're good to go. And it looks like the minus side is the side that is closest to this button right here, so or the ground wire anyway. So do black here and red right there. Here is my little portable solder kit. This one is from Fantech. It comes with these little tips here, which are nice because they're super nice for small electronics. Yep, so black is going to be on the side that is closest to right there. So this is going to be very hard to see. And I am not good at soldering, but another tip I have is to use flux. Flux basically just helps your solder stick to the pads a little bit better. You don't need much. Wipe real nice right across the pads, and that's it. Fan is soldered to the board. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull back on these little plastic tabs here and here. Basically that allows, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's going to be really, really hard, but there's a slit right in there. And it helps to kind of grab the tougher part, and you'll feel it slide in. And once it slides in, you just push those black tabs back and it locks it in place. And then from that point, you are good. So now, the only thing left to do is to rotate this one. Kind of shove all that down in there. There we go. Silver long screw is going to go through the top part right here. There's a black long screw that's going to go through there, and then there's going to be 4 other screws that are going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then that will be that. That'll be closing this thing up. There we go, guys. This is the final finished product. DJI Action 4 naked camera, and it is way lighter than what I was expecting. So this was the little connection piece thing that came from Flywheel. Yep, that does. So there we go. So that plugs in there. So if you don't want to solder, you don't have to. If you were gonna solder, you could. But basically, this is the part that you would need. I don't know why they don't include this. So frame.ch doesn't seem to include this part right here, or at least it wasn't in my package. And this is what actually plugs up to the different battery leads here, this part here, to power into the battery so that way you can turn the camera on. But for whatever reason, they don't include that. So now for the moment of truth, all right, here we go. All right, so fan turns on. It's a good sign. Screen is, so outside of me cooking half the screen, so you can see there, the screen still works and I can still operate it and still change things with no issue. And right now it's connected to my phone. But the problem is that, again, half the screen is cooked because I kind of like damaged it, I guess. The good thing also is the DJI Mimo app seems to work a lot better with connection as opposed to the GoPro app and the Hero Labs and all that stuff like that. So it's definitely a good thing that I can still connect it to my phone. I can still adjust and change settings from there. When it comes to weight, I'm gonna be honest, these kind of feel about the same. Maybe the Flywheel one's a little bit heavier. Yeah, Flywheel one's a little bit heavier. So this one's a little bit lighter even though it's thicker. I'll take D-Log M and this sensor over this GoPro one any day. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was useful to you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.